All right, all right, all right. Cyber traders, welcome on back here this Thursday afternoon, July 29th. That was my best McConaughey. Great to see everybody live inside Cyber Group alongside us on social media, Facebook Live and YouTube. Welcome on back here to our afternoon meeting. So for right now, the NTEC trade, we're hopeful for this to push up higher and break out going into the afternoon. We're still pretty hopeful. We'll put this on our list right away to begin. This was a stock that was featured in the morning. It wasn't on the morning watch list, so to say, but as soon as the market opened up, I mean, really, this thing just ended up taking off. Ended up making a big pop right out the gate as it popped from 11 up towards 13 and change, and then obviously came back down after. So you got to be really careful on this type of stock. And, well, to be honest, we trade this type of stock quite frequently here inside our trading room. If it's not this exact ticker, then it's just something that has very thin liquidity on the books, something that has a very fluctuating spread. Could be a penny 1 second, could be 10 cents another second. So you got to be really careful on that type of trade. I say it all the time. When the volume dies off, when the volume wanes down and dissipates here per minute, oftentimes so does the stock. But of course, in this case, we ended up seeing this begin to creep up, make higher lows, eventually broke out above 1250 again, and from there made the real run up towards 17 plus. And going into the afternoon, like we just saw, it's pushing back up there now. It peaked right off of 17 and pulled back. So hey, we'll put this on our watch list to begin. I don't know if I have the level 4 for this trade up right now. I don't. All right, so you know what? Just bear with me a quick moment. I don't mind just taking a couple seconds to show you at least the level 4 book map for this trade. Just give me a few seconds here. I'm going to pull it up first right now just to show. All right, so there we go. There's the level 4 book map for the NTEC trade. You can see that 17 was resistance going into the afternoon. There's a bunch of different orders out there on the ask. I mean, here at 16, here at 1650, 17, 1750, 18. So really, the 50-cent levels and whole number levels are providing as major support and resistance. But 17 in particular, you could just see from the morning, it peaked up there at first. We started to see some buying coming in, but it was having a really tough time breaking higher from that point. So when it ended up dumping off from around 17, I would simply expect for that level to become resistance the first time it approaches it again. I know that's easy to say given what had happened here, but this first test, I would be sitting on my hands. And then right here, this would be a very good entry to consider and take, but obviously didn't work out. You would jump in right away. You would set your stop as soon as you enter the trade because we know how big of a level 17 is. And with enough buying, you would hope for a squeeze up from that price. But if 17 is as big of a level as we would imagine it to be, and if it doesn't break out and run from that price at that time, well, let me tell you, it's going to make a big move. It's going to make a really big run. Just the complete other way. So, you got to be really careful on this type of stock. Ended up snapping down from 17 all the way down to 1550, back down to the VWAP area. So we'll put this on our list to begin, folks, in hopes of this making a higher low from this point and to shoot up going into the afternoon. But we'll see where it takes us. All right. But that was the NTEC trade to begin. We ended up having a pretty interesting morning, and it was more so from stocks that were kind of beginning to pop right before Fausto finished the meeting here. The VXRT trade, for as ugly as it is now, this stock ended up doing all right for us earlier on in the morning. Ended up pulling back going into the market open. You could see shortly after like 9 o'clock, 9:15, it ended up peaking off around like 9:20, 9:25 price. Ended up dropping off going into the market open. So I'm not expecting a pop on this right out the gate. It ended up taking about 5 to 10 minutes worth of consolidation and then ended up trying to make its move. For what it's worth, it ended up making like a 60, 70 cent move, from this price, pushed up nicely, unfortunately failed to really break and run from that point. I think there was some news out this morning on VXRT that led to that big run up in pre-market. But, again, this is something else that we say quite frequently here in this meeting. Just because news comes out for the stock does not mean it's going to continue to move up across the day, across the week, whatever it may be. So in this case, VXRT was up 7-8% going into the market open. Folks, this stock is down 5+% right now. So this couldn't be a better embodiment of what I just said. You can't just, throw a dart on the wall and hope it lands in terms of seeing good news coming out and for the stock to eventually, bounce or run. This clearly did not. So I was even looking for an entry on this going into the afternoon, considering how far it dropped. I was hopeful for 8 to be a nice breakout level. I did not take the trade, but ended up holding off perfectly here. And I was like really ready to jump in. I had my order set, but ended up flopping and going the complete other way down. So I don't know. It's hard to borrow. If you could short it, that would probably be a good stock for you to put on your list. We'll keep this on the side for right now. If it ends up making a spike up, perhaps we'll reconsider and look for a dead cat bounce. All right, so the VXRT trade was pretty nice for us, at least earlier today, off the bounce initially after the market opened up. We ended up doing well also, number 2 here, and at this point, I may as well go down. But the LC trade, Lending Club, I know they ended up having earnings in the afternoon yesterday. This is not a stock, personally, that I trade every day, every week. It's something that we'll call out and trade off of news like this. But it's one in the past, at least, that we have seen trade off of earnings and off of other news. So for some of these days where you see high volume, those are likely days where you ended up seeing the earnings come out, or perhaps other news just generally. But this stock has done well for us off of that. Today, it doesn't really look like the prettiest chart. Ended up bottoming out pretty nicely, but after it spiked up from around 22, this was really hairy. Ended up shaking around quite a bit between 24 and 24.70-ish here. 75 perhaps you can call it, or 24.80 even, but nonetheless ended up making a cleaner pop later on, going into the late morning as it rebroke that resistance and really ended up making a nice run from there. So I don't know. I mean, right now it's in a bit of a tight range right now for a $25 stock from earlier. It ended up making for a nice run, but yeah, we'll keep this on the side, pass on it for this afternoon, maybe check it out come tomorrow morning. All right, so folks, I mean, at this point, we'll just kind of, just go across the gainers and losers here, right? So let me just get the price column showing, but we'll kind of go through. GSS stock ended up making a nice push earlier for us. I know Norman, one of our students, had called it out. He got 21 cents on it. He entered from 250, got out at like 271, I think. Ended up spiking up, dropped back down. I guess it moved up higher later on, but I don't know, not a whole lot really going on across the last 20-30 minutes. Good liquidity, it's cheap, good spread. I like all of that, but I don't know, I feel like it already made its big move earlier today. If it pops up again, then perhaps we'll look at it at the end of this meeting. Right, we talked about that on the NTEC trade. Same thing that happened on NTEC essentially happened on NAOV. The only difference, at least this was at least a little bit easier to manage if you ended up jumping in on a false breakout. And I say that just based on, again, just how tiny of a spread the stock has, how big orders this stock has across both the bid and the ask. So if you end up jumping into a trade, let's say a pop over like the highs here, and you expect to run up, obviously it went completely down afterwards, but comparing this to the NTEC stock, price aside, I'm talking liquidity. This NTEC is a hell of a lot harder to get out of and manage in case if you're there at the right place, wrong time, compared to the NAOV. Both dropped off after, but one's a little bit easier to trade than the other. All right. Hey, for as big of a move as the NAOV trade had for us going back into the end of last week, we said we'll keep it in mind, and lo and behold, between yesterday and then this morning's pop and pre-market, it ended up making for a nice trade this week. Holy smokes, that NTEC trade's getting crushed right now. Just to go back to that really quickly, because I still have it up on my other monitor, but I mean, from the last time I showed this, which was about 45 seconds ago, it just dropped another 50 cents. Jeez. All right, so we keep it moving. This XBIO, this ended up looking pretty nice at least before, but ended up making for a sharp drop after. It ended up failing to break higher from 410 seemingly, rebroke below force support, dropped off about 35 cents. So this stock has been a pump and dump type of stock for us in the past. We traded this back at the end of last year, of course, across the last few days this week. All right, so we'll keep it going right now. I guess we'll see any other familiar names on the gainer side here. SXC is near the high still, but pretty slow. COCP. I kind of nicknamed this one Copacabana for simplistic measures. Fausto nicknames this Coop. But nonetheless, either way, however you like to name it, a stock ended up making a slingshot after the market opened up from 130 up towards almost 150. Obviously failed to even kiss 150, but made for a nice trade at first. Ended up making a huge drop off, though, off the lower high, and the rest was history. All right, so TEL's still holding here. Good. I mean, I was also interested in this TEL stock going into the meeting. We called out the pop prior to 1:30 Eastern time. Ended up making for a nice hold off of 4 and push up towards 420. Obviously, just popped here before, but A little flat. Hopefully it keeps going. So we'll put it on our main list in hopes of the run up. But would want to see that happen sooner than later. It just happens here in the drop back. So definitely needs to re-break soon. Maybe it pulls back towards 390 and then runs back up. But there's not as much time left in the day to see it drop down, then back up and run. We're just about an hour and 20 left until the close. UXIN, not a whole lot going on here. It was moving up nicely before. Blue Apron, ooh, nice little pop right at 230 on Blue Apron. Really, volume died off, though, as soon as that pop happened. I don't know if it's unusual options activity on this trade or if there's any specific news. I'm curious. Take a look on Benzinga Pro here for Blue Apron, see if there's any news. And unfortunately, it's not even unusual options activity, just no news. It says from Benzinga Pro, not seeing any company-specific news to justify this move higher. But right now, as I talk, this thing's starting to sling back up towards 413, 412. All right, I guess I'll put this on the main list because certainly we don't have too many on there so far. So this will do for the meantime. Nice little pop back up. Hopefully this keeps going, the Blue Apron trade. ABIO dumped off from earlier today. The ACER trade dumped off earlier today. A lot of them ended up doing so. I know Michael called out the BTU trade. This thing's been more of a swing trade. I've been saying over the last, now it's practically been a month at this point. But, you can see the stock's just been on a huge tear across the last really couple of months, few months, if anything. But, if anything, this stock ended up making a nice push up today after the market opened up off a slingshot. But right now it's just kind of slow. All right, so any other names familiar names on the gainer side? I don't really see too many here. Yeah, if there's anything else that's up big, folks, perhaps something that I didn't have a chance to look at just yet, just type it in the chat board. Let me know. All right, hop over to the losers list here. I have no clue what all of this is here up top. ALIN.PB.PA.PE. I'll be honest, I don't really care because it's so little volume here that we're not going to trade it. So keep it going from that point, though. The ANVS stock, this thing took a huge hit. Almost like trading no volume per minute, though, like 3,000, 4,000 shares per minute. But look at the order book. Look at the tape. Right now, current time right now is 2:42 and 20 seconds. Looks like you're seeing just retail volume, barely any order, barely any prints coming in. And it might look like there's some prints coming in, but just check the size. Less than 100 shares for most of these prints coming in on the tape. So the fact that this is down big and at the lows, I love it. Even the price, $44, $45 stock, I would put this on our list if it wasn't just trading such tiny, retail, minuscule volume. So I'm not particular about that. So I guess I'll pass on this trade. All right, but QFIN here. QFIN is flat, but it's at the lows. This has better liquidity than the other one, at least. I don't know if this is all-time. No, it's not all-time lows. Looks like this is at a pretty strong support, though. Just looking at the daily chart back from May of this year, roughly across the few months prior, generally it was holding right around 22, 2180-ish, just shoot from the hip. It's so flat, though, here, so it's kind of detracting me right now. Alec ended up dumping off. It could be a good short again, though, just thin volume. I'm not particular about that right now. We are literally in the dog days of summer, folks. So, normally I wouldn't be as keen to follow many stocks over the summer if we're in a flat market, if there's just not as much moving out there. We don't need to force anything. This is an example of that. Hey, the stock's moving. It's within our price range, but just liquidity so bad. It's just, do you want to gamble? If you want to gamble, maybe try and trade the stock. I would rather at least try and follow this Nikola. This thing is on the way down. I knew some news came out this morning regarding their regarding their founder, former CEO Trevor Milton. I don't know what the news is, but I think he's either found guilty on false allegation charges. I could be wrong on that. Obviously not good for him and doesn't look good for the company, even though I don't think he's a part of it anymore. I don't think so. He was indicted on 3 counts of fraud. That was it. But nonetheless, this stock took a huge hit early in pre-market. It's still taking a huge hit right now. In fact, it's actually at support. Got a huge iceberg order on the bid, a 65,000 share order currently sitting right at that 1270. So, it might not be the fastest mover going into the close, but I'll put this on our list. It's shortable. It's at support right now. Nikola, it's down big. Bill says in the trading room here, there's a bail. Is that true, Bill? $100 million bail? Is that an exaggeration? I don't see any bail here on the headline. Well, either way, he says yes. All right. Well, nonetheless, your stock ended up taking a huge hit, and we'll put it on our watch list for this afternoon, if it could, especially if it could break down below this 1270 iceberg here. All right, I'm just kind of skimming across the loser side here. Otherwise, for other familiar names, I don't really see many other familiar names. I see a bunch of stocks that are shortable. Look at EQT Quick. Not a whole lot going on there. Look at DBD Quick. I think that we traded this in the past. Not really a whole lot going on there as well. All right, folks, I'm going to toss it to you right now for all of us on Facebook, for all of us on YouTube. Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Facebook, either way. And for all of us live inside the trading room, let me know if there's anything that I didn't have a chance to look at just yet. So just checking quickly on YouTube first. Welcome back, Mitch. He says works with a question mark asking. He says needs a little bit of volume, but it's up. It's up almost up 9% now at this point. It's a stock that we are familiar with. Ended up, unfortunately, fortunately, ran for us nicely back in the beginning of July or midway through July just this month. But unfortunately, stock ended up completely dumping back down the following morning. It wasn't even as if it ran back up again. It opened up at 4. I guess it popped at first, but completely dumped from that point and only dropped off, from there. So we'll put this on our list. It's a good call, Mitch. I like this. Works. Then from Dan, he's asking about the CRTD trade. It seems like a lot of these are pushing up right now. I don't know if they're up enough for me to find them on the gainer side. I guess maybe they're starting to. Got AHT here on the gainers list. That's not looking that great. APT, I guess I skipped over this. This one's pushing back up, and I saw from Doug on YouTube also. We got a bunch of us on YouTube today. Welcome aboard. He's asking about the AHPI stock. Looks like the vaccine stocks are all moving, right? I think that's the case. I think that's why AHPI ended up popping earlier this week, and then the same with APT. I like the APT trade a little bit more so far. If both end up popping and running, God bless. But the APT trade, I'll definitely put on our list. We're very familiar with that stock. I feel like this one has thinner liquidity and volume on the book compared to the APT, and APT is more expensive. All right. How about Fausto, the man himself, chiming in right now inside the trading room? Normally he's not, at least at his desk in the afternoon. He's trading with us right now. He's calling out the Blue Apron trade. Nice pop on Blue Apron. So we kind of talked about that just before. That's already on our list and still holding strong at these prices. So hopefully that leads to a nice run for us. RJF on YouTube, and I didn't mean to skip over you there, Nicholas, on YouTube there. RJF saying Tell's already on our list. I did put it on, and at the time, it was kind of pulling back, so even more. That's why I like it here. It's pushing back up and trying to get back up towards that iceberg at 430 and 19,000 share iceberg sitting here. So keep that in mind, already on our list. And then from Nicholas, who I did skip over before, he says, on the day that Donut Krispy Kreme went public and some days after, it was tradable. Is Hood. Oh, that's right. How could I forget, right? I mean, we talked about it all before this meeting even started, but I went across the whole gainers and losers list. It wasn't on there because it's an IPO. But Nicholas on YouTube right now is asking, is Robinhood, the IPO that came out today, is that a side list stock to watch? All right. So Fausto is definitely going to give you his thoughts on this come tomorrow morning when he comes back on and does the morning meeting for all of us here live. But I think that I have a similar opinion to him. It's that IPOs oftentimes drop off once they're announced. It's dependent upon the price that it's valued at. But for a $38, $39, $40 ticker like Hood as it came out, it's more within our price range, right? So I thought I didn't even look too much into it, but when we heard that Hood was going to be listed, I thought it was going to be like $100 stock. And, you know, when Bill was talking about it, I think a couple days ago, I was like, I'm not really too interested in it. But, you know, when it came out, damn, I saw it. It was at 38, 37, dropping off. I ended up catching this from 34 this afternoon. Yeah, we'll call it the afternoon. Ended up catching it from 34. I got out at 34.90 because I thought it was going to keep dropping. I had a nice support, took the entry, but man, this ended up going all the way back up towards 38. Right now, though, Nicholas, this stock is not looking that great as a day trade today. And with that in mind, it would not shock me if this just keeps dropping across the next, you know, week, 2 weeks over time. You know, perhaps if there's, you know, major news with Robinhood otherwise outside of this IPO coming out, if there's any big move perhaps on Bitcoin, and if Robinhood owns a lot of Bitcoin, perhaps that can make it go up. But I think we're going to see this begin to drop over time here across the next week or so. And again, Fausto will give you his thoughts first thing come tomorrow morning on this trade. I'll definitely keep it in mind day to day, but certainly right now where it stands here, this is not going to make it for the afternoon list. All right. So, folks, let me know if there's anything else out there. And Bill follows up. Wow, he is right on that regarding Trevor Milton, our friend over at Nikola. Judge allowed Trevor Milton, founder and former CEO, to go free on a $100 million bond. Jeez. That's a huge bond, right? I thought that was an exaggeration. All right, so folks, we'll do crypto come tomorrow. Again, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'll break out the Bitcoin chart, especially heading into the end of the week. I'll give you my thoughts on Bitcoin. But nonetheless, though, for us right now, I think that we have a pretty good list. The NTEC trade, TEL, Blue Apron, Nikola, Works, and the APT trade, the vaccine stock that is. Chuck here inside the trading room says Discovery, I think that is, DISCA, just popped up on an alert. I have no idea what it is, but a bit pricey. Yeah, this is Discovery, the network, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, nice little spike up, but you know, just seems like just any other stock out there. You know, for what I don't put on the list, folks, and Chuck knows this personally. I'm just saying for everybody, there are so many stocks that we would call tradable. You know, like NEO. NEO is a tradable stock. You know, good spread, good liquidity. It's trending up, but I'm not going to put this on our list just yet, right? This isn't really making that stellar of a move. There are so many stocks that are tradable. Doesn't mean that they're going to be as good of a move, or doesn't mean that it's going to be worth your time, so to say. So we'll start with this list right now, and then if there's anything else, perhaps the few minutes after I even finish up this meeting, if it ends up making a big pop or anything else, then from that point, we'll work together as a team and see if we can capitalize on the opportunity. All right. From Franny, a couple questions from Franny before we finish up here inside Cyber Group. Is there a good entry on Blue Apron? So I just need to make this, you know, just knowledge for everybody here. Franny in particular, I see that you're, well, not a trial member, I guess, now joining us monthly, but myself and Fausto, we are not financial advisors. We don't tell you, hey, buy here, sell here. You know, you need to take our classes, Franny, to fully understand what we're looking for in each and every trade. It's the same strategy, but we have to try and follow the orders out there. So it's to say that this stock is pushing up nicely right now. You know, perhaps there could have been a resistance off of 415, but it was kind of choppy there just before. So I would wait to see if this could begin to pull back. I mean, at this point, it might just keep going, but it's on a steady trend. I would look to see if you could find a higher low, perhaps from 415 or 410. Otherwise, if it keeps pushing up, then, you know, just see what happens at 425, 430. I would assume for there to be resistance there. All right. Am I keeping Coop, or as I would say, Copacabana, on the list? No, this thing's garbage. This thing is not moving at all, Franny. If you are interested in watching paint dry, this would be the stock for you. All right. And hey, you know, I'm blunt when I say it that way, but really, like, you know, are you interested in watching this stock for the next hour? Right. You know, so I like to sound blunt, but in a funny way, just, you know, for you to realize, like, wait, I'm not watching this thing. This thing's just slow. If it ends up making a pop, then we'll call it out at that point and see if there's a chance that we can, you know, run it up. But I don't think that's going to be the case here. All right. At the horn here from Trading PC Solutions on YouTube says XBIO on a bounce. Wow, that is popping back up right now. So I told you folks when I went over this trade just before, it's like more of a pump and dump type of stock. And we did well on this stock back from the end of last week and here and there this week. I really wasn't keen to put this on our list up until right now. And that's why we like to work together as a team here. So nice bounce on this XBIO. Hopefully there's a lot more left to it. I will slip this on our list here at the end. This is definitely the type of stock I would rather at least watch compared to some of the others like that COCP. All right, so folks, we're going to wrap it up for right now for all of us on social media, Facebook Live and YouTube. I appreciate you sticking with me each and every day, each and every afternoon. If you've yet to join our live trading room, go down to the link on the banner below just to get yourself started on a small trial. Otherwise, for all of us there right now, like Franny and Chuck and Bonnie and Bill and Steve, we look forward to talking to you folks in just the next 5 or 10 minutes. I'm going to take about a quick 30-minute intermission. I'm going to jump onto a coaching session pretty shortly from right now. Rich will jump on the mic right now, and I'll be back on at 3:30, folks. I'll talk to you soon.